Good evening, everybody. It's Bronwyn Reid here. I'm helping Dallas out tonight. Welcome to the webinar, 5 Principles of a Perfect Online Profile. This is number 1 in a series of 6 webinars that Dallas has put together for us. I'm personally very much looking forward to them because I was born prior to 1985, so I'm classified as not a digital native, and I suspect there's a few others on the call who are in the same boat. I've actually had to work really hard to teach myself and learn as much as I have managed to learn about digital profiles and online profiles, and I'm looking forward to having an expert like Dallas, who's devoted several years of his life to figuring all this stuff out. So over to you, Dallas.
Hey, thank you very much, Bronwyn. And look, I really appreciate everyone coming along tonight. I'm looking forward to sharing some great info. And as Bronwyn says, this is really something that has been years in the making, so it's exciting to get it out there. Really important to get our ideas out in public and publish them. So looking forward to sharing it with you tonight. So as Bronwyn said, I'm Dallas from Influential, the digital agency for professionals. Tonight, I'm introducing the Digital Influence course and we're running a webinar. So I'll be talking to you about building our online profile, your digital brand, and how this can help you attract great clients and build your reputation as an expert at what you do and grow your career or your business. And most of you probably know me pretty well. I'm founder and brand strategist at Influential. We're a digital marketing agency. We work with professionals when they're launching their brand online. So that's a little bit about me, just to help us all get online and make sure everyone can hear okay. If I can get you to just type in your name and where you're listening in from so that I can check everyone can hear okay. So type in, if you can hear me, type in your name and where you're calling in from into the question box, which is at the bottom of the GoToWebinar control panel, which should be on the right of your screen on most computers. And we'll just check that everyone is hearing okay. And look, we've had heaps of registrations tonight. We're not fully booked, but really great numbers of registrants. It looks like there's still a few people on the way, but looking forward to sharing everything with you. Now, I'm just still not seeing anyone typing in though, other than Bronwyn at this stage. Have you seen anyone else, Bronwyn? Oh, here we go. Okay, yep, we've got Steve from Sydney, Elizabeth from Melbourne, Rob in Cairns, Nikki also in Cairns, I think, Victoria Rose from Melbourne, Amy Roche from Brisbane, Shan from Melbourne, Wendy from Top Hill Farm up in Cooktown, and Petra, Des from Rockhampton, Anita Banks from Brisbane, Wendy from Brisbane, and Nikki's saying the audio is a bit flaky, so I will try and speak as clearly as I can. That might just be our crappy internet in Cairns, Nikki, but you should have the best internet in town, I think. Nikki runs Precedence, which is our web host, and has been a great supporter of my business and inspiration to me too. So glad to have Nikki online as well, Nikki Jerd. So yeah, what we're going to cover tonight, it's all about building your brand, and it's really going to be covering a lot of the material in my my new online course, which is called Digital Influence. This is the course homepage, and I'll refer back to this a few times through the webinar and just talk through what we're going to be covering. So there's really half a dozen things we'll be covering. The 5 stages of designing and building your online profile, how to actually design your profile and create an online sales engine. And one of the really important steps, I think, is what order to do things in, because I'm sure if you've started doing any of this online stuff, you know the feeling that there's always something that you needed to have done before the step you're doing. It's quite hard to know where to start, and particularly getting the planning right before you start trying to build. So we'll cover a bit of that. How to incorporate...
Dallas,
yeah, Bronwyn?
Dallas, just before you go on, I'm not seeing your screen. I don't know if anybody else is.
What have you got,
I'm not
Bron?
I've still got the
GoToWebinar?
Initial 5 principles of, yeah.
All right.
I'm not seeing your
Thanks,
screen
Bronwyn.
yet.
I will go back to The PowerPoint for
Technology, you gotta love it.
yeah, yep. I'm not sure why it isn't sharing the browser screen. I'll try again, and if we still don't have any luck, we'll I can paste it into the PowerPoint window. How's that? Any luck? Nope. Hang on. There we go. Is that showing now? It's still not.
Good now.
Good now? Okay. So you can see the digital influence homepage saying build your digital brand.
What we think.
Does that look okay, Bron? Can everyone see that screen okay? Just type in yes, I can see it if you can see the screen into the question box.
I can see it fine,
Great,
Alice.
great. All right. So yeah, sorry, as I changed between the screens, it stopped showing the screen. So we'll be going through the different sort of modules of this online course during the webinar tonight, just as an overview. And then in the course has 5 components, and over the next 5 sessions, I'll go through each module in turn. Now, this won't be a sales call. This is not a get you on the webinar and sell it to you at the end. The course isn't released yet, and I'll be launching it as we go through those webinars. So there will be a chance to buy if anyone wants to down the track. But just tonight, relax and enjoy and learn. You might want to take a few notes, but there will be a lot more detail in the other webinars. So a bit of housekeeping as well. If we can turn off any mobile phones or any browser tabs you've got open so you don't have Facebook or Skype pinging you all night, makes a big difference to how well you absorb what's in the webinar. And yeah, as I said, any questions, just let me know through the section. I will be asking a couple of questions at the end, and I will be giving 2 lucky listeners a 1-hour digital brand strategy session valued at $300 plus GST. So stay tuned and keep your ears open for those things which I'll be checking on at the end, not super hard questions. So most of you probably know me from either online networking or real world networking, or through the Key Person of Influence group. We've got a fairly large contingent from KPI here, around over half the people online and who registered. My background, in case you don't know, is I used to be a veterinarian, and I've really spent 10 years learning how to build websites and market my own business, really coming from my own realization that, look, if you're not online in 2015 or at the time 25, then you've got a problem. So I really realized early on the importance of getting a good online presence. And even now, if you Google vets in Cairns, you'll find me and my old practice all over the front page. In the last 4 or 5 years, I've been building websites and marketing for other businesses, especially professionals. And a year ago, I sold my practice, and now just do the occasional bit of locoming, but basically work full time on digital branding and marketing for other businesses. So we'll be going through the 5 steps to building your online profile. And as I said, my background here I am looking a lot younger with my now passed on dog, but we had a big clinic, 20 staff and 3 clinics, and it was a very busy practice. I put a lot of time and effort into online marketing, and really got to the point where it was getting to be a full-time job. And I realized, look, I've got to choose one way or the other. But it goes to show that this is something you can achieve yourself, but unless you know what you're doing, it can become all-consuming and distract you from doing the real work in your business. So getting that balance right is really important, and I'll address that issue of how much should you do yourself and how much shouldn't you do, because I think it's critical that the owner is active in the process, but at the same time, you don't want to be doing things that you'd be better outsourcing, and you'd rather focus your attention on what you're great at. So that's something we're covering in quite a bit of detail. So for my clients, the problem is, unless they're online, they're not relevant to their customers, because everyone is now turning straight to their mobile phone or Google when they've got a problem. And we all kind of know this as Dr. Google when you've got a bit of a sore knee or a funny cough or a few aches and pains, you hit Google, and it's the same with people and their pets, and I'm sure it's the same in your business. People come in and they've already figured out what's going on before they even talk to you. Now, obviously, we can improve our online presence, but for most businesses, that's hard to do because you just don't have the staff and you don't have the trained staff to do that, and they're better doing other things. So that's really what motivated me to start an agency specialising in working with these, medium-sized practices that need extra sort of outside assistance in getting their online presence sorted. So the online world evokes different reactions in different people. Some people think it's all super exciting and they just can't wait for the new social media platform. But I'm sure there's many of us in the audience here and also people in your office who the reaction is actually more like terror or denial. Like they hate it or think it's terrible, or they're overwhelmed by it. Or on the other hand, they'd think, oh, look, that Facebook thing, that's going to go away. No, that's definitely a fad. And I know when I first got into online marketing 10 years ago, and then social media, say Facebook, over the next few years, it did seem like it might be a flash in the pan, but it was obviously the start of something bigger. And yeah, while individual sites might move on, the online world isn't going away. So we really need to get up to speed with it. So release the death grip, and we'll see what we can do with getting you comfortable with being in the online world. Generally, most of my clients, and I think you'll be the same, have the goals of attracting more clients, building their brand as an expert at what they do, and growing their business or their career so that they attract more opportunities. That's generally the outcomes that we're trying to achieve with this program. So it's not really geared toward a kind of make money online model or something. This program is really geared toward people with real businesses that want to build their personal and business profile so that they can achieve these goals, attract clients, build their brand, and grow their business or career. Now, when we want to attract clients online, there's sort of three aspects we need to consider. First of all, we need to be easy to find and well connected. If people can't find us, they can't work with us. It's that simple. Next, we need to look like an expert. We need to be the person that when our customers see us, they think, yeah, look, here's the guy I need to work with. She's definitely going to be the best person for me. We want to make that impact that we're the expert in our field. And then thirdly, we want to be memorable and remarkable. It's not enough just to look the same as everyone else. And for my ideal clients, that's a particular problem. If you're an accountant or a lawyer, they tend to look an awful lot like other accountants and lawyers. And the big issue there that we'll discuss in detail in the course is that when you look similar to your competitors, customers have no way to differentiate you, so they're forced to make decisions on the things that they can easily differentiate on. So they tend to be on things like personality, price, location, and other things that don't correlate with expertise. And they're forced into that situation because they're really not qualified to assess your expertise. And people have really changed how they research, choose, and buy your services. So as we all know, the trend is toward online, mobile, and social buying. Now people will research first online, self-diagnose, and when they do seek out expert help, they want to deal with the best. They don't just want the guy down the road who does a bit of that and a bit of this. They want someone who specializes in what they do, because we're increasingly sort of seeing celebrity providers of almost every source of expertise. So the typical online buying process is, first of all, they've got a symptom and they discover they've got a problem and think, what's going on here? Then they'll do some research and they'll try to figure out what's happening. And from that research, they'll frame their situation. They make sense of their situation and say, oh, my symptoms are caused by this problem. And once they know the problem, they know what types of solutions to look at. So this step, the framing or making sense of their problem, is really critical. And in the customer journey module, which is the second module, we go into this in heaps of detail, because this is really our opportunity to interact with the customers. Once they've figured out what the problem is, then they search for solutions, and they're really looking for answers. Importantly, the solution they're looking for will be the one that treats the problem that they've identified. And Then I'm sorry, the bottom of the text has been cut off there. Then they will go and look for providers. They'll evaluate providers to assess, who can sell me the solution I need, which one's the best, who do I trust, who's the cheapest, things like that. And then finally, they'll complete their purchase. Now, as you can imagine, in the Dr. Google example, there's a lot of things can go wrong in this process. Firstly, most customers are not particularly good observers of their situation. They'll miss a lot of the important symptoms, so they don't gather all the information to start with. Then when they research, they don't know the important things to search for, so their search process is going to be poor. Then when they're making sense of their situation, they're relying on online sources, and the people they tend to trust the most are people just like them, who on the whole are going to be similarly unqualified to provide any real guidance on this issue. So it's the blind leading the blind. And that search process really determines what product they're buying. So to give a simple example, if I am looking for a problem, the solution to a business problem, my phone is not ringing, then I will go looking online and find out how do I get more customers. And depending on the information I first turn to, if it says, oh, what you really need is some search engine optimization so people find your website and give you a call, or that you need a website, or that you should be on social media, or you should be running AdWords ads, or maybe radio ads, whatever if I think my problem is I'm not showing up on Google, then I will look somewhere for that solution. But if I identify the problem as something else, I look for a completely different category. This is particularly important for things like health and medical, where if someone's got a bit of a vague set of symptoms, like they might have some pain when they're running, or they've got headaches, then there could be any number of possible solutions. And the person who explains their symptoms in a convincing way sort of wins the opportunity to pitch for the business first. If they think, oh, my problem is that I'm not drinking enough water, then they'll look for very different solutions to if they think my problem is I've got a brain tumor. So anyone in the audience who is a professional will recognize what an issue this is, because there is a process to finding out what's wrong with you when you've got severe headaches. And quite often that's something that should be handled by a specialist, not from advice from Google and friends. So this, we go into a lot of detail into how people buy things and the mistakes they make in their buying process, and then how we can build our brand around people's customer journey. But one of the key things which this course is founded on is that people really need to know, like, and trust you before they're prepared to try you and then buy your services. So, and to do that, we really need to be found online. So I'll just skip through. Unfortunately, my screen is not showing the full presentation. So people are still using word of mouth to find you, but now this is occurring in the online environment. And we've got lots of different opportunities to interact with a customer through their buying process. And by being online and being, where our customers are through that search and framing process, then we've got an opportunity to be the person who helps them define the problem, and which in turn defines what the solutions are that they'll be searching for. So one of the other big changes that's occurred with moving to the online world is that the opportunities for new business are now global, and that really means the stakes are up in terms of how much effort it's worth putting into your online presence. It's not always going to be about attracting local customers, and it's important to realize that your customers also have a global smorgasbord of providers, whereas previously they might have just always gone to the person down the road. Now they're starting to think, well, actually that person in America is the world expert. Why wouldn't I listen to them or buy their course? Or perhaps I'll travel to Brisbane. Our horizons have just broadened so much over the last decade or so, and the online world's been a big part of that. So with this program, I'll be covering these 5 steps or 5 principles to a perfect online presence. And they really come down to looking at this know, like, trust, try, buy process from different perspectives. And the reason I base it on those steps, and they're really self-evident in a way, is that they occur in any buying process. If we're buying something small, if we're buying something big, if we're buying something over a 1 minute decision-making period or a 6-month decision-making period, we've still got to go through those same steps. And there's 1,000 different ways to describe online marketing, and I've spent years now trying to make sense of it and looking at the commonalities. And I think this is a really nice model that's easy to explain to people, and that addresses the things we need to know about marketing. So if you've been around marketing for long, you will have been exposed to this concept of a sales funnel, where you've got lots of potential customers coming in the top. At first, they're people we suspect might be good customers, so they're called suspects. And then as they move down our funnel, as they get more and more connected with us and close to buying, then they become prospects and leads, and then sales opportunities, and then ultimately customers. Now, this is sort of an industrial model of selling stuff. And one of the problems in using this kind of language in a high value, high trust sales process, which is the case in professional services, or if you're trying to sell any product worth a few $1,000s, is that starting a relationship calling someone a suspect is probably not a great idea. So this is an industrial sales process, but the important thing about it is it lets us scale our business and transactions. And the output of this, the little red ball here, is revenue. Now, in a social sales process, the steps are pretty much the same, but we need to focus much more on the experience of the customer rather than on our internal processes. Ultimately, we need to build our internal processes, but they need to match the steps the customer is going through. So this step is based on the customer journey. And as I said, module 2 is on the customer journey. The webinar after the next one will be all about the customer journey and how we can use that to guide our sales process. A social sales process is based on the customer journey, and it lets us scale personal connection. So it's not just about getting the sale, it's about building a relationship. The sale is a benefit, but there are other benefits, including increased brand value and relationships with our customers. And today people are expecting a relationship with their providers. They don't necessarily want low value relationships. They will for commodities, but we don't want to be selling commodities because there's no money in them. So we want high value, high trust relationships. So the first stage in the social sales process is that they need to know us. They need to become aware of us. And the place where this is generally going to occur is search. So at first, people are really going to be, the reason they'll be looking for our services or even receptive to seeing our services in an advertisement or mentioned at a party or anything is that they're looking for something. And a lot of the time, they really won't know what they're looking for. A typical example is a business owner who wants to improve their business, and they think there's probably something out there that can help them. Maybe it's business coaching, maybe it's new software. They're not sure, but they might be reading business magazines or part of a business mastermind group or going on business forums. And effectively they're searching for something. So they're receptive to buying, but not straight away. They don't even think they're ready to buy. But they're kind of scouting out for something. So they're searching. A lot of the time they will be proactively searching and actually going on Google. But at this stage, the way in which they're going to interact with us, if they find us on search, then they'll discover our online profile, and that will be their first impression of us. The next stage is the like phase, and this has its obvious natural meaning that they like us, but it's a lot more than that. It's really about alignment between our business and priorities and values and theirs. Increasingly, people don't want to just do business with anyone who can provide a good or service. They want someone who has the same concerns as they do, who speaks their language, who understands them, whose business is designed to support them as a customer. So liking is about more than just this immediate, superficial personal liking, though that's still very important. It's also about us being, a likable authority in our industry. And the context that this occurs in is a social context. So partly this means social media, but even things like a webinar, this is a social event. You're present with a crowd of other people listening to me, and that has a social meaning. So there's a large part of this course is really about social dynamics and how we need to attend to those when we're setting up our marketing and setting up our brand, so that we're positioning ourselves in the right place in this social context. So this is all about alignment, and the aspect of the way we kind of know we've got this right is that our marketing feels personal rather than being sort of corporate or anonymous. So I'll with this context, contrast, and concrete, I'll cover this in a lot more detail in the course, but it's just a really useful way to look at the different aspects of how your brand interacts with your customer. So the way our brains work when we're first encountering new information is that we want it to be relevant and meaningful. It needs to have good context for us. It needs to be clear and distinct and easy to understand. That means a high contrast, so it's black or white, not shades of grey. And it needs to be concrete, real, solid, and trustworthy. So they're just different aspects that I use to sort of highlight different aspects of this know, like, trust thing. And it's a theme I'll be returning to throughout the course. It's particularly important for brand development because your brand needs to be relevant and meaningful to your customer. It needs to be have high contrast from other brands, so it's clearly differentiated, and it needs to be solid and trustworthy and appear like it's a safe, proven choice. So they're three really important aspects of branding that we get into in the first module. The next stage is trust, and trust occurs in the context of sharing and making sense of the situation. So this is really where we share our expert knowledge with people, and they'll say, oh, look, you really understand my situation. I can see how you might be able to help me. You might be able to help me with my problem. Tell me what I should do. The way we do this is that we publish what we know to our audience so that they can easily access our expert insights. Now, with a high value sale, like an expensive product or a service, then we rarely buy them off the shelf. And even if we do, we want to pick them up and handle them, or have a test drive, or have an initial consultation. So, you can imagine if you're buying a new car, you want to take it for a drive first and see how it feels. If you're going to see a medical specialist to have your brain tumor operated on, you'd like to meet the guy before he cuts into your head. A great example is if someone goes into an Apple store and picks up an iPhone, their chance of buying it goes up enormously. Once we've picked it up, to actually give it back is hard, it's painful. So this try phase of getting to handle things, getting to experience them, see how they fit, will they work for us, this is really important for people in attaching to our products and services, and then moving on to the next phase. So this context is all about shopping. People love to shop, even though they don't like being sold to. So by creating this try phase where people get to shop for our things, and in the Key Person of Influence program, you'll recognize this as a P for P. It's a product for prospects that lets people buy something small, get to know your services, and then hopefully go on to buy your full and remarkable product. But this is one of the key things we want them to do here, is to take action. The try phase lets them buy from us with very low barriers to entry, and take action and purchase these smaller products, which sets them up to the next phase, which is to buy our high value products. And here we're offering the full solution to the problem that we've defined through our marketing process. We want full agreement from them that we are the answer, and really what they're buying is our promise that we can solve their problem. There's really, with a full solution, there's no way to tell that it will work without actually doing it. It's not it's not like something you can test out. That's why we need the try phase. That's why it's so important. There's no way to have a practice brain surgery in advance and check it out. You just have to go for it. So really, you need to believe in the person and everything that presented through the sales process before you're ready to take that step. And the result of this process, in contrast to the other one, is that it produces revenue but also improves relationships. So that's why it's a social sales process. It's all about relationships. So this is excerpted from the second module, and one of the reasons I go into it is that the whole course is really built around these same 5 steps, because we need to understand our customers' process, then we need to design our brand to support those steps, and then we need to actually design our sales process to offer steps along that path and sort of create a story and an experience for them to go through. And then ultimately we need to build that out in a way that will help us to deliver the result to people through our marketing, and also to increase the perceived value of what we're offering. So I won't go into this detail here. One of the key things, though, is that design matters. Professional assistance really matters here. So I always have a bit of a giggle at this. If it's really easy to look at what someone like a designer does, or or a lawyer, or any other profession, and think, oh look, all they're doing for me is X, Y, Z. I could do that if I got the software. But there's always so much extra expertise that a professional brings to the table. Years of experience and understanding how things fit together beyond actually what they're doing. So that's one of the reasons I've dropped that in there. So there's a fair bit of detail there, which I'll cover in more detail in the rest of the program. So what I want to do now is just go to the website and walk quickly through the module as they appear. So can everyone see that new screen there now? Bronwyn, can you just confirm to me that looks okay? So I'm now on the course page for digital influence. And I'll just walk through the different stages of the module. So Bronwyn says it all looks good. So we're going to, the goal here is to build your online brand, to build your online profile so that you look great online, but also it's actually working actively to bring you new business. And yeah, this is sort of the course homepage. It's not live yet. When it's live, I will ensure you guys all get early access. As I said, there is a considerable free component to this course. There's a lot. The first module will all be free, and some of the other lessons will also be free. Things like how to claim your online identity, how to get a domain name, making decisions about business names and domain names and trademarks and things. Some of that really starting information I'll make free, because I know there's a lot of people, including people on the call now, but also just in the business community, who are completely confused by what is a domain anyway. And I see this with clients all the time. So I'd really like to make some of this introductory stuff available, as well as the background on the outbranding process, just so that people kind of understand what the course is about, and they can see if it's right for them. So as I said, the first module is really about the initial strategy, what you need to know before you start building your online profile. A mistake a lot of people make is that they rush out and get a domain or start to build a website really before they've figured out what their marketing goal is, what the value proposition is of their business, what message they're trying to get to their customer. Until you know all that, then it's not time to start planning how you're going to do it or what you're going to do. So in this section, there's 5 modules, and as I said, each module has 5 steps that correspond to the know, like, trust, try, buy things. So the first thing is the strategy, which is really about just getting clear about who your ideal target is, who you are, and how they're going to connect. The second part is providing value through that relationship. The third part is building your brand and how to design a brand that supports the social sales process. The next step, digital, is all about the online world. Those basic things like, what is a URL? What is a domain? Where can I buy a domain? Is it the same as hosting? A lot of the really basic introductory stuff that people get really confused by. And it took me years to understand. Like, I don't have an IT background. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I'm pretty solid at what I do. But there is a whole field of experts who just deal with hosting and things like that who are miles ahead of me. So I'm very much sharing a business owner's perspective, and it will be in English for the most part, not in geek speak. So I hope it will be accessible and useful to you. And then the fifth one is on influence and marketing and persuasion, because really what we're trying to do with any online marketing or any marketing in general is to influence people's behavior by what we tell them. We want them to go and buy our product, or to sign up for a newsletter, or to choose us over a competitor. So influence is just causing a change in someone's behavior by what we say or do. So that's the first module. The second module is the buyer's journey. And this is a deep dive into what I just went over with the 5 steps. I've given you a very superficial and sort of rushed version. I know it's really simple in a way, but when we understand the buyer's journey in detail, then we can intervene early on when they're making those crucial, what is my problem type searches. And if we can get in there, we can frame their problem and get them on the right path to the best solution. So that's that's our approach, is to really understand where they are, how they're searching, what they're trying to find, and then intervene early so that we can build a brand that guides them to buying our most valuable products and services, the things that are going to get them to where they want to go and solve their problems. So there's 5 parts to this course. First, the commodity buyer's journey. So we need to understand, for the most part, they want their problem to be a quick, easy, cheap one. They want a band-aid solution that will work. And a big part of our task is often to say, actually, sorry, you don't have a small, cheap problem. You've got a significant problem that you need expert assistance for, and I can help you with that. But at first, everyone is hoping that their leg's not broken. They just need a Panadol, that kind of thing. Then we look at the high-value buyer's journey and how that's different, and how we actually can craft that to add more value to the sale. We review the know, like, trust, try, buy, which I've gone over with you briefly there. We look at the high-value sales process and how that differs as the prices increase, what we need to do to make the sales process work, particularly as we're doing it more and more online. And in that, we're really interested in mapping what works offline and how much of that we can replicate online, so that we can scale the most time-consuming or low-value parts of it. And finally, we touch on creating high-value products, because it's not enough just to try to sell something like it's expensive and special. We need to actually make our products more valuable to our customers, more different from the alternatives, so that we have, in key personal influence language, a full and remarkable solution, not just an expensive solution or a bundle of products. It needs to be something where there is no other equivalent. That way people can't price shop, because there's nothing similar. So we go into that in quite a lot of detail. The next phase, module 3, is about brand architecture, and that's really looking at if we go back to our, actually it's a little bit easier to understand in the context of the next one, our social sales funnel. We've discussed already search, social, sharing and sense making, shopping, and solution as the phases of the buying process. So this is sort of the context that people go through. At each phase, there's specific information that we'll be sharing with people. So in the first phase, when people are just getting to know us, then we really just want them to know one thing about us, which is what we do, who we help, and what result we deliver. That's we don't want to say, I do this, this, and this, and I do a bit of that as well, and I do this, and I think you'd like me because of XYZ. Instead, we want to be known for one thing, so that you've got one specific tagline or one remarkable result, or you're the wine guy or the web hosting guy. To have one claim to fame is really valuable. And so at first, we just want to be known for one thing. As we move on to the next stage where we're trying to build social liking, then the easiest way to do that is through connecting on shared values or connecting to the client's problem. And the way in the model I'll share with you, then we can identify 3 dominant values or themes or priorities in our business that we can use in our marketing, and focus on those in this social phase, so that each phase of the buying process we know what information to share. And very briefly, the next step is we'll be sharing our process, like our principles of what we do for the KPI people out there, then more detail on our process. And then, in the final stages, we're delivering it, and that might be the steps that we do to actually fulfill the order. I'll present a number of models for you to use here, and basically these are ways to structure your communication with your customer so that you know what to say at each stage, where it's relevant to where they're at. Because at first, you'll just bore them if you tell them about your amazing 7-step method, whereas later on, they want more detail. But we don't want them kind of trying to rush to the end and say, so what type of widget do you use for XYZ, before they've really got to know us and decided they like us. So it's really about managing the flow of information through the social relationship as the sales process proceeds. So I've already covered this, the search, social, sharing, and shopping. Within each of these modules, it's most obvious up here. Then these expand out, and there's multiple lessons, and the content's largely video and text, and also some downloads and templates. So these expand out to show the different steps in each thing. This is running on some learning management system software, and basically you need to go through each step before you get to the next one. Pop that down again, and then the final step is we finally get to build our online profile. Now, I know it's probably sounds very frustrating having to wait till the end to start to actually build anything. What we'll do is actually go through the initial introductory stuff, and then we'll start building our online profile fairly early, but then we'll gradually unfold. So by the end of our profile stuff, we'll have done all the other stuff first, but we won't sort of try and cram all the building into the last couple of weeks of the course. The course is 12 weeks, by the way. And yeah, when we're building it, then we need to first build our platform. We need to build our personal profile, how we personally look online, and how we're going to communicate and interact with our customers. We need to publish. We need to create products and a way to sell them online. And then ultimately we need this prize or the promise. What's our remarkable result? How are we going to deliver it? And as I said, this actually needs to be communicated right at the start of the social sales process. So there's always this tension between needing to talk about the final product at the start, and that makes it hard to kind of build this. It can be hard to know where to start, because you need to build from the ground up, and yet you need to know what's at the top of that mountain of value, or your peak value up here, in order to communicate it at the start of your marketing. Now, so that's what's in the course of 5 modules, and because there is, one of the big issues for a lot of people is they don't have a website, or they've got a website and it's different to the one I've got. So in order to make sure that everyone in the course can go through and complete all these steps, what I'm including is a sort of built with you website, where we've got a professionally designed website that's highly flexible and that can easily be modified. But we'll set this up for you, and we'll go through it with you and build it through the process of the course. So mostly this will be you just manually editing things, but we'll also have some implementation sessions where we're helping you actually do anything you're stuck with, so that you're not stuck with something half done. And yeah, the reason for doing this is that you learn this by doing it. Now, I know lots of people do already have websites, and it's not essential to start with something else. Almost everything I'm talking about is general principles, and then we'll show you specifically how to do it. But it just means that if you don't have a website, you're not stuck not being able to get started with this process. I don't want anyone to sort of feel like, oh, I've bought this course and now I can't do it. So there's a bonus module where we actually provide everything that you need and build it with you through the course to come out the other end with a website that's customized for your business. And yeah, so that's really it. I'll share this page with you later as it becomes online. At the moment, there's still lots of broken links and things, so nothing to see here. But yeah, looking forward to getting that out to you. And look, we're coming up to about 50 minutes here. I'll just check on my notes. I've covered most of what I need to cover now, and I think it'd be great to go to any questions that people have. So if there's anything that you'd like to know, any general questions about your online strategy or marketing, then I'd be happy to share. Actually, one thing I did want to check with you is what are your goals online? What would you really like to achieve in 2015, and what are your priorities? So if you can type that into the chat box or the question box, we'll see if there's any trends there. So talking to clients, I tend to see three main things.
Leslie would like to make $1 squillion. Dallas, yes. So if you've got a solution for Desley, you'd like to make $1 squillion.
I'll sign her up for my $500 million program.
One question I have, Dallas, it's something that I've been round and round in circles with a lot, is the distinction between my business brand and the personal brand. Will you be going into that in the course at all? Because I know that is an issue for a lot of people who are solopreneurs.
Definitely. So in this course, the emphasis will be on your personal brand as the face of your business. So this process will work whether you are a sole trader or a consultant in a firm of one, or a career professional in a bigger firm, or an owner or partner in a practice that's where your predominant business identity is the business, not you. So the experience most people have is that it's actually much easier to be marketing as yourself. But for a lot of professionals, there's some uneasiness about that, and I definitely address how to manage that through the course. And this course really is about trying to reconcile those, and how do you effectively produce a professional presence so that it's you. Because when people go into what visit you as a consultant or a medical practitioner or a lawyer or whatever your business is, then in the end they're coming to see a real person, and by and large people will pay more for dealing with real people. That's the model that we're pursuing here, rather than a kind of corporate identity per se. They tend to be much more complex, but I'll definitely touch on how to integrate the two. And yeah, I'm sure people will have questions about that, what they should prioritize, and happy to answer those during the course as well, and during future webinars. So to be clear, this is a paid course, but I will be holding this initial webinar and the 5 overview webinars of the modules. They'll all be free. You're all enrolled already, and welcome to come back and ask questions on that now or later on as the course progresses.
Thanks, Dallas. Now, both Shan and Jane have mentioned that they would like to get an online training program up and running. Is that something, sorry, that was Wendy and Jane. Is online training something that you'd be touching on or is in the course, or is that that's sort of like a next logical step thing?
It is a bit of a next step because it does start getting quite fiddly. So I've spent the last probably 2 months, deep diving into some of the different training programs and setting that up with CRM so that we can, create a really tailored customer experience. I mean, part of my whole brand, my brand value proposition is that your brand should be a complete experience online, so that when you have an experience of the brand, it should be of the brand, not of GoToWebinar or something else. So it's all about, my approach is all about trying to tailor it as much as possible to being a direct interaction with your business. Now, when we set up an online learning program, you can do that on your website and achieve that outcome. And it is very fiddly. And like, I will be talking to Wendy Seabrook more about that. So I'll cover that with you personally, Wendy. And yeah, I'm certainly happy to share what I've gone through. It's taken a very long time to get this platform right. And I've learned heaps. So I'm happy to cover that in another webinar. It would probably belong in the 5th step, which is really how you kind of package your full and remarkable product to create a scalable product rather than a service. And that's something we probably all want to achieve. So I'll touch on that, but there's lots of different solutions, and it's a bit hard to provide a step-by-step guide. Whereas what we'll be doing, for example, in the sales funnel thing, is setting up a sales funnel, with your stuff, with MailChimp and the website that will work. And you'll see step by step how to do everything. I just don't think I can deliver that for the online course component, because everyone's online course is going to be so different.
Thanks, Dallas. I've got a few more questions here, so we might have to answer them fairly quickly, given we're coming up to our time limit. Des has asked how much the course is going to be. Have you set that yet, or is that?
Yeah, it's going to be $2,000, Des.
Okay. Also, Shan has asked, do you have any suggestions on how to manage all of your social media without having to manage them all individually? Maybe an app or program.
Yeah, so
you've got some suggestions there.
There's quite a lot of apps for that. Personally, I manage them all individually. So I've used Hootsuite and MarketMe Suite and TweetDeck and quite a few of the other multi-platforms. And I also use Infusionsoft, which has some capacity for social coordination. But I'm a big believer in sort of getting down and dirty on social networks, and really, like, it's all about context. And different social networks are like different social environments. So Facebook might be like a family barbecue, Twitter might be like a noisy cocktail lounge, and LinkedIn might be like a business networking group. Most people who want to kind of manage all their social networks from one place run the risk of being the guy who turns up at the networking event or the family barbecue trying to sell Amway or handing out business cards and alienating everyone, not getting any sales, and eventually deciding, oh look, this doesn't work. From my experience, you really need to get in there, be in context, participate in the conversations, and while automation is a great thing and very good for scheduling, so when I've got a product launch, as I've been doing recently, then I'll advance schedule things, and I use Hootsuite for that. So that seems to be the most popular platform. It has excellent analytics as well, which is very useful. So that's sort of the short answer to that question. But the long answer is, be sure you really need to. And unless you're actually already very proficient on social media, you're probably doing more harm than good trying to automate before you've actually kind of spent a couple of years doing a very hands-on version.
Okay, that wasn't a short answer, Dallas.
No.
Elizabeth asked, could you give an assessment on your website of the different digital platforms so we can try what's out there? I think that's an excellent suggestion, Elizabeth, because when you're new to this stuff, it's incredibly confusing. So maybe that's something you could look at for your website.
Terrific. And do you mean different social media sites or different ways to build a website? What specifically do you mean, Elizabeth?
I can't unmute Elizabeth, so if you could just put another comment in the field there, Elizabeth, I'll get back to that. Petra says one of her goals is to build a customer database through social platforms.
We'll definitely cover that. So that's a huge part of this, and that's been a big part of my own experience in the last year. I've done a lot of web development and SEO, and quite a lot of setting up large automated social media networks as well, which is, like, I know from personal experience that that's not the way to go. But what I hadn't done was a lot of list building and then mailing my list and building a relationship over time. And now, like, I've just kicked myself, I haven't been much more active at that, because that is critical. We'll definitely be addressing that, and that really is a core of the course. Effectively, you can consider your list as almost the vertical that runs right through that sales funnel. Everything is connected by your mailing software or CRM that helps guide people through your whole sales process. So that's definitely covered well.
Elizabeth says she's just a humble accountant and not a tech head, so she would like to know every possible digital platform that's available so she can choose what's best and suits her purpose. So I'm pretty sure that the course will be doing that, Dallas.
Yeah, for sure, and there will be plenty of opportunity just for discussion in a forum-like environment as well. So we can thrash that out and get other people's perspectives too.
Now, Amy sounds like she's definitely needs a bit of online love. She wants to be known to her clients who are retailers as the expert. However, I also have had a lot of people who are attendees of my shows, my clients' customers, who start visiting the website, although I never market my business through the shows. So that sounds like to me to be a prime candidate for building an online profile, if I've interpreted your question correctly, Amy.
Yeah, for sure. And my experience with building my online profile, and I've probably done it mostly through LinkedIn and Google Plus, is that you often attract, it's not always the run-of-the-mill customer who you attract when you build up your online profile. It tends to be the PR opportunities or the partnership opportunities, the things that are a bit out of the box. So people are looking for the leader in the industry to do something special with. They'll go to you. If they just need any old one, they'll go to the local person still. So that's really where building your online profile pays dividends, is that you pick up those bigger deals. You get invited to the JV opportunity. That's really where it can pay off. And of course, for the customer who is thinking, oh yeah, they look okay, not sure if I will or not, and then they check you out online, if you look like a rock star, it can help seal the deal, and also just start the relationship where they're thinking, well, this guy is amazing, or she's the real deal. I'm lucky to have her, rather than the opposite, where they're thinking, oh yeah, look, this guy better work hard or I'm going to crack the whip. So a lot of it is positioning and how that affects the relationship over time, rather than just attracting lots of low-end clients.
Just one other comment, Dallas. It's something that you and I have talked about extensively, that building that online presence, that good digital footprint, it's hard work. It's hard work, and that's why it's so good that you've put this course together to help people. It's we get the marketing emails, 10,000 likes in one day or whatever, but there's really no substitute, as in everything in building a business, there's no substitute for just jolly hard work.
Yeah, and that's something I've really struggled with a bit in putting this together, is how much to put in, because it's much easier to sell the 5 minutes a day to double your business profits type course, because people want quick results. But I've done this myself. I've done this for clients. My experience is that you need to do the work yourself, even if you get a web designer. And this is something I will get into in detail, and it's a bit of a hard-earned lesson is that people sort of think that a web designer is going to do their SEO, write their content, do their social media, come up with their marketing plan. With any major web design project, you really could have 10 or 20 different professionals working on it, and which is one reason why if you go to a number of different firms to get a quote, then you'll get widely different quotes. If someone might feel they're providing a full solution, and they'll design your site but no content, to the customer, that might look like a very similar quote to something that's actually much more comprehensive, where there's lots of different people interacting with it and bringing a lot more expertise. So I've got this on another screen. I can't immediately share it, but I probably can. But so, for example, here's some of the professionals who could be involved in a largish web development project. You might have a digital marketing person, a brand strategist, graphic designer, website designer, user experience designer, SEO specialist, analytics, content strategy, content writer, content editor, social media marketing, Google AdWords specialist, video creation and editing, server administration, security, event planning, and project management. They're all hats that someone potentially needs to wear in order to bring just a medium-sized business website to launch. So when we hear about, oh, look, I can get my website built on Elance for $500, clearly a few things get skipped along the way. And for most of us, we're not going to go and spend $20,000 or $50,000 on a website. That would be enormous overkill. But just knowing what are you getting, what aren't you getting, that's something which will start to become clear as we go through this course, and even going through the free webinars, what those different stages are, why they're important, which ones you can do yourself, what to do first when your budget's tight, things like that. So I hope that'll be helpful.
Probably our last question for the night. Elizabeth asked, how long will it take to build a credible online presence?
It depends on your competition, but my experience has been that you can do it within about a month, but I'd usually say 6 to 12 months to in a moderately competitive environment with consistent ongoing effort. But look, I've built sites for people, and within a week or two, their competitors are complaining to them that they've stolen their spot on Google. It sort of depends how much effort you put into it, and really how good the competition is. It's a bit of a case of you don't have to run faster than the line, you just have to run faster than your friend. So Google, it's a competition. You want to be first for your name or your industry or your specialty, and that's one of the reasons why we want to get very clear about our niche at the start, is that we're not going to be number one for, say, vets in Australia if I with my old business, but to be number one for a local vet, or as a local vet who's a surgeon, that's entirely achievable. And realistically, your competitors aren't doing this very well. Almost every industry, it's only a handful of industries where there's a lot of competition. So that does mean you can go in with a modest budget, a fair amount of time, and build it. The big benefit is then it stays there for a long time afterwards. So it's not like advertising where you run ads for 6 weeks and then it's over. Instead, it stays there online and accrues authority over time. And to me, the big thing that if you can develop the habit of consistency, where you're consistently publishing quality content, then at the end of a year of publishing something once a week, you're 50 ahead of the next guy. So that's one of the sort of lessons that I'll instill into people, is that it's just about setting a moderate pace, but focusing on quality and being consistent, and you'll get great results over time.
I agree, Dallas, thank you. And Desley actually said, agree, Dallas, your value is the fact that you aren't promising quick fixes, and I would certainly endorse that, because there's no magic wand to this. Well, there's no more questions. We'll draw it to a close. We've gone a little bit over time, and thanks everybody for coming out tonight, and I look forward to seeing you all back again for webinar number 2. Just remind us when that is, please, Dallas.
It is on Thursday at 7 p.m. So it will shift around a little bit between Tuesdays and Thursdays. It will be, I think, this Thursday, then next Thursday, and then I think it goes to Tuesday because there's a KPI thing on one of the Thursdays. But you will receive ongoing notifications from GoToWebinar. And yeah, I did something a bit tricky and integrated this with Infusionsoft. And apparently Infusionsoft registers all time by its Central Arizona time. So if anyone gets a notification saying the webinar's on at 5 a.m., I promise you I will not be up at 5 a.m. There is no risk of that. It's definitely 7. So just ignore any mentions of early morning. I'll be asleep.
Okay.
Terrific.
Thanks, everybody, and have a great evening.
Great. Lovely. Bye-bye.